computer already? Because we got one person in here watching. I'm pretty sure it's you.
Yeah, it's me.
Well, welcome back to another live stream. We can do an introduction while we wait for some people to join in here. If you want to introduce yourself, where's your
I
political
am Gabe.
stance? What's your name? Go ahead.
My name is Gabe. I am a Democrat. I am a progressive liberal, Roman Catholic. I have a wife and a kid, and I think that universal healthcare is based. Yeah.
Do you consider yourself a social democrat or just a Democrat?
So I used to consider myself a social democrat. It just they had really good marketing, but I looked a little bit more into it and I thought about it and my values don't really meet theirs, so I wouldn't consider myself DSA anymore.
Well, social democrat isn't DSA. Social democrat is just like the difference between the DSA, Democrat socialists want to seize the means of productions of private businesses. Like they want to see either they want to give the businesses to the government or they want to give the businesses to the people, to the employees. So that's what socialism is. But a Democrat social or a social democrat is just someone that wants, like more better social programs, like better welfare, better health care, universal health care, maybe. So that's where I make a big difference between social democrats and democrat socialists, because social democrats also they don't want to abolish the presidency or abolish the senate or anything like that. They just
Yeah,
want
so I'd be a
to get
social
more.
democrat then. Yeah.
What's up, Gojo? How you doing? Here's a question from the comment section. So he doesn't support Abdul,
Um I'm
Abdul
not
Al
in
Hussein in
I'm not
Michigan.
in that state, but if he's DSA, probably not.
Yeah, he's DSA for sure. I think he is, but but how do you feel about Obamacare? Do you feel like that's helped the healthcare system?
I feel like that's given access to probably millions of people, and that's a good thing. And I think that we should take that a step further and just give everyone American citizens access.
What about the fact that it's made healthcare affordable for millions of Americans, just so like the bottom 20% can get free healthcare?
You cut out there. What were you saying?
I said, how do you feel about Obamacare? That it made basically health insurance was $170, $150 a month under before the Obamacare. Now it's about $600 to $700 per month, and that's
Yeah,
made it a lot more unaffordable for a lot more middle class Americans.
yeah. I think that's insane, and I think the government needs to rein in more regulations in the healthcare market because, just as capitalism goes, they're going to make as much money as they can, and they're gonna screw us over. And the products that they're providing are going to be in super high demand because it's just healthcare, and we want to have the same quality of life, and we or just not die. And they're
I
able
do
to
agree with
basically
you.
extort
I
us
do.
over it. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry. Say that last part again. I didn't want to cut you
Uh,
off.
Yeah, and so because it's in so high demand, they're basically able to extort us. That's just the way that market works, and we need more regulation for it, for sure.
I do agree with that. I do not really believe in universal health care, but I'll get into why. It's mostly just reading the CBO budget reports from the Congressional Budget Office and that kind of thing. And I just don't see where we're going to get the money from. But I do believe we could possibly get our health care prices down to what they were pre Obama, maybe 150, 170, 180 a month would be a reasonable price for everyone to pay. There's no such thing as free healthcare, as I'm sure you're aware, because everyone has to pay for it somehow. It doesn't just come from nowhere.
Yeah,
Thank you,
that's
John, by the
exactly.
way. John says, I'm glad to see a Trump supporter. You should join our Discord, by the way, brother. It's link in bio. But thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. But yeah, I think we should, fix our healthcare system. I'm not going to say I have all the answers to it, but I do know that if we did the universal healthcare option, the Medicare for all, that's going to cost us on the low end 1.5 trillion a year, on the high end about 3.8 trillion dollars a year, according to the Congressional Budget Office. So that's a lot of money. And even if we taxed Elon Musk and all these billionaires and trillionaire at every single dollar they own, we taxed it, took every single dollar they own. That would only be enough for universal health care for about a year and a half, from what I've seen. So I really don't know how we'd fund something like universal health care. And also, even in countries where they have universal health care, a lot of them end up at the private option, especially the upper middle class. They're going for the private option. But also, it's a lot more affordable for the private health care in those countries. So you could also make the argument that fixing the healthcare system or universal healthcare would make the private option cheaper. But I just don't think we have the budget. We have a large population. We have one of the larger populations, not the largest, but one of the larger ones. In Europe, it's easy because their tax is already very high, and they just have they have a very smaller population. But that's just my perspective on it. How do you think we can get the money to pay for something like universal health care? Because in my eyes, if the billionaires and trillionaires can't cover it, then that means everyone else is going to have to be taxed more. And instead of my taxes going up 10% a year, I'd rather just pay out of pocket $180 a month for health insurance if I had the option between paying $180 a month or raising my taxes 10%. I'd rather just pay $180 a month for some health care. But what's your
Thanks for
thoughts on that?
the. I'm doing it here instead. No, I just had. It's fine. I'm debating right now, though. Love you. Bye. Sorry. The wife came in.
Go ahead. I understand. Go ahead. Did you want me to repeat anything I said, or
No, you're asking like how can it be affordable?
how can we afford?
Um,
Like, how can we raise the money to do it? It just seems like every which way. I mean, if we didn't have to raise taxes at all, uh, if we didn't have to raise taxes at all, I'd be fine for it.
yeah, I got you. I mean, I do generally agree that the people that make more money should probably go ahead and pay more taxes. Just because as you make more money, a smaller percentage of your income is needed for your necessities. And so I think it makes sense that they're because basically what would happen instead is the if the government doesn't like tax millionaires and billionaires and they just use it to put it into what like 401ks and savings or like stock market and stuff. Yeah, so
They still
I just think it's a better investment
I mean, what's the highest
to.
tax bracket right now? 37%, 39%? I mean, I already think that's kind of getting ridiculous at the point where you're giving the government half your money. That means if you're working 40 hours a week, you're working 20 of those hours for the government.
I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but if you only need like even like what's one
I can make
percent
that
of a
argument. For
billion,
you don't,
that's
you don't
still like
need,
100 million. If you only need 1% to live off of like anything, then it's
yeah, if you have a hundred
you don't
million
care.
dollars, I agree. You don't need
Yeah.
all that money, but that's also going to stop the social mobility from more and more people becoming millionaires. The United States of America has created more millionaires this year than any other country. We've already created 460,000 millionaires this year alone. And if we start taxing people 40, 50%, then that number is going to significantly drop if we start taxing people 50 or 60% of their income just for them to work for the government. I mean, that's not very fair. It's already very difficult enough to even start earning 6 or 7 figures a year. And now you have to give half of that money to the government. I just don't see how that's fair for the people.
Um
And I'm not
Well,
talking
I
about
think
old money that
instead what's
already
happening.
has 100 million. I'm talking about the guy that has a company and maybe he's paying himself $60,000 a year, but his company's worth $2 or $3 million, and now he's not going to sell it because he has to give half of that money to the government.
Yeah, so I I frame it as instead of investing into your own savings 401k stock market, you're just going to invest in the people of America. And I just think that that's like a much better thing to invest
I
in as
agree.
far
They
as
should they
where
should
to
get
go.
incentives to invest in the people of America, but I think everyone should pay their own way. I'm not going to ask anyone else to take care of me and my family, and I wouldn't expect anything from anyone else. I think everyone should just pay their own way. It's nice to have free stuff, whatever. It sounds all nice and dandy, but not when everyone's taxes have has to increase. And I've asked Gemini and I've asked ChatGPT how we can do it, and it always tells me the same answer. It says we can make like a 40% sales tax, or we can raise income taxes way higher. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
the income
crazy.
taxes. Yeah. Sales tax is kind of bad just because it's like a regressive tax. I
Yeah,
have 4 questions for you though. And I
go ahead.
agree that like don't get me wrong, your questions, yeah, they're very logical. Um, my questions are more of like, should we do it instead of how can we do it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm ready for it.
So, my first question, well, do you think life is an inalienable right?
Like,
Like in the Declaration of Independence, it
yeah,
says
yeah, I
life
do.
and liberty. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously,
Okay.
if you're a criminal, they can take it away from you. If you harm someone, they can take it away from you. But yeah,
Right. Don't be a criminal. Okay. Cool. Um, does the government have a legitimate role in protecting people's inalienable rights?
sure. Are you trying to tell me
Okay.
that I get what you're trying to point at, that healthcare we can already skip to the point. You're basically trying to pin me in the corner and say that healthcare is a human right.
Well, I'm trying to frame it in a syllogism so that you can. I still have 2 more points that you can disagree with, by the
Go
way.
ahead. Go ahead. Let's hear them.
So the third one, um, do you agree that protecting the right to life can require providing or protecting access to certain means of self-preservation?
I mean, that's a very open-ended question. It depends what you mean, I guess.
Okay.
Even if I
Um,
grant you that, even if I grant you all four of your points, I'm just gonna
mhm.
respond like this and say, well, we have emergency Medicare. Anyone who breaks their arm or anyone who gets sick can go get the service they need, and they're not gonna get denied by the emergency room.
Yeah, or we have the Second Amendment to, because you have the right to defend yourself, right? Like that's another thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ask me the first two questions again, if you don't mind, the first two.
Is life an inalienable right?
Do you agree with that yourself?
Yeah.
So do you support things like abortion or no?
Um, so that's a good question. I'm a Roman Catholic myself. Um, and that does go into a gray area because normally whenever we talk about abortion, it's also like consciousness has like an important factor into it because normally like you would agree to that if someone was like brain dead that you could still go ahead and unplug them and it wouldn't be murder. So I'm
I
assuming
mean,
that's
I
right,
don't
right?
know
Or do you
about
disagree?
that. I mean, I really don't know how I feel about that, because some people that are brain dead have came back and their brain has started working, or people that were in a coma that were never going to wake up, they have came back sometimes. So there's always a possibility. So that's a really tough question to answer. But what
Okay.
I can tell you is John Hopkins University, a major university, big university. I'm sure you know. They say life starts at conception, which is when the sperm enters the egg, and that's when they
Yes.
consider life to start.
Right, but I think it's a better argument to say that we value conscious life generally because of course like we don't really care too much about what like sea sponges, right? Or we don't give them rights. We don't and then there's
Well, we
also
value human life more than any other life. And that's
right.
even going back to religious purposes. I mean, as you as a Catholic, I'm sure you remember in Genesis where it says man has complete domain over the animals and the life on earth. So that was kind of God telling us right there that our lives are more meaningful and more powerful than animals, and animals are just here for helping basically humans and their needs.
I mean, yeah, and in the Genesis story, we Adam and Eve eat from the fruit of knowledge of truth and evil, and they become consciousness, not like animals too. But we don't have to get into all of that. I mean, it's a good question. I just think that it makes sense that we value both life and consciousness, and not just life, generally speaking.
Yeah,
Um,
but you could make the argument that you could also make it from a non-religious perspective. You could say that humans value other humans' lives more because they see more sympathy and they see humanity. You can't really see
yeah.
humanity in animals, so they're seeing themselves. That's another reason if you wanna go from a non religious aspect.
Well, I mean, I could be convinced if because I know, like of course, the church's opinion is, just be pro-life. I could be convinced if you could say something like, the spirit or consciousness is like already there by the time of like conception. But that's more of like a spiritual metaphysical argument, and I'm not even sure if that's the church's position. It'd
I
be a
mean
fun conversation to have with like a bishop.
I mean, for something to be considered alive, we have cells that are alive. We have microorganisms that we consider alive. So something doesn't need to have consciousness to be alive.
Well,
Microorganisms
yes, true,
don't
but
have
we seem to
consciousness.
value consciousness and life, and like we seem to like put uh the value more whenever it has consciousness, and I don't think that like a zygote is going to have the capability of consciousness. That's why I'm saying if like the church's position was that it just does have that, then I could see that argument, and I could like maybe even like adopt it, but I don't think anyone's arguing that specifically. Um, I just don't think like generally speaking, the church, at least for Roman Catholicism, like it doesn't try to interact with science all too much. It just says that this is what the Bible says. Don't use it as like a science textbook. Like it still says that you can believe in evolution and whatnot, at least for the Roman Catholic branch. Um, which I think that's a good thing because science is very shown itself to be very useful, at least. Um,
It isn't really because of consciousness. It's not, most of the time we have no clue about these people's consciousness. If they have good consciousness, if they have bad consciousness, whatever they have, are not really even putting that into consideration. We're just we're humanizing it because it's another human life, not because of its consciousness. Because it we're having sympathy for it because of humanity, not because of consciousness.
I mean, I think that's just really hard to separate out because humanity is just innately also conscious for the most part. But um, getting back to like being Roman Catholic, um, like me personally, I have a moral obligation to not like have an abortion or like for my wife, which we married in Roman Catholicism and in the church, for us to not have an abortion. But I understand that that's a moral obligation that is from like rooted in my religion that I was born and raised in. And in America, we have religious freedom, and I wouldn't want to tell the states that you need to follow my moral obligations, even if you do not
No,
follow
that's why I
the
said it doesn't
church.
have to be about being a Catholic.
Well, you were asking before, and I also want to say that as a Roman Catholic, I follow the Pope, and the Pope himself has said that universal health coverage is a moral imperative um, for societies that wish to call themselves just. That's a quote from Pope Leo. So
And he
I
also
do,
believes in
going
which
back
is
to universal healthcare, like that
deaths and many
is.
murders in many countries.
Sorry, what?
I said the Pope believes in all kinds of stuff that's caused many deaths and murders in multiple countries, like mass migration,
He
open
believes
borders,
in
more or
mass
less.
migration
He believes in open borders.
and open
I,
borders. I mean, I guess you can try to make that argument. I just think that the Pope has, moral authority. It's the Church of St. Peter, who Christ himself has said that uh, that's, St. Peter will make the church the rock and foundation that will be Jesus's church. So,
well, if maybe
um,
sinful, then how do we know if his decisions are always perfect on picking who the Pope becomes?
so uh, the Pope is infallible in terms of
He's not ordained by
moral
God.
decisions.
He's only ordained by man. And if man is imperfect, and if Jesus is the only perfect man, then how can another man ordain a religious leader to make all religious decisions? That's not Jesus.
Because that is the structure of the church that is St. Peter's church. It's the line of authority
And
from
St.
all the way
Peter's
back to St.
Church
Peter.
was it split off into two subsects. I don't know if you know Orthodoxy
I know of
and
Orthodox.
Catholics were one church. So it's not just the Catholics, it's also the Orthodox. And I'm pretty sure the Orthodox don't have a pope that they believe in or follow, and that's one of the main reasons that they broke off
Yeah,
because
that's fine. And there's also Protestants and with Martin Luther, and that's water under the bridge that people have fought their lives for already. And it's like kind of a thing. You can be whatever religion you want to be a part of. That's fine. I'm just telling you the religion that I'm a part of and that I subscribe to. Um, I never got to ask the fourth question in
Go
regards
ahead.
to like the inalienable right syllogism. Am I good to ask that, or do you just want to
Yeah, go
go
ahead. I'm
on?
waiting. No, I'm waiting. Go ahead, ask it.
All right. Do you think adequate healthcare is necessary for protecting and preserving human life?
Um, Probably, but I already answered that by saying that everyone has free healthcare that needs it already.
I'm not so sure if that's true.
I mean, not everyone, but everyone has healthcare. I won't say free, but there's a lot of circumstances where you can get these hospital visits for free. It's
Okay, you
probably
can
state by
have
state
hospital
basis, but
visits. Wait. You can have hospital. Are you just saying that there should be people? You would think that it's a good idea for people to show up, get surgeries that they need to survive, but then like not pay any bills, like their
well,
their
that's
fair share.
we have some things like that already that are in place. there's certain hospital programs, if you make under $60,000 a year and you need a life-changing decision or a life-changing operation, that they'll give it to you for free.
Is that like widespread, or is that just
No,
like
but they can't
specifically?
deny you for any healthcare that you need. They can't deny you for any healthcare that you need.
But they can still give you the bill
Okay,
afterwards,
you
and
can file bankruptcy if you don't want to pay it, or just don't pay it at all. Because medical bills no longer go on your credit score, if I'm correct, right? Because Trump took that off in his first term, or they
I
have little
mean, if
impact
that's
on
the
your
case,
credit
shouldn't
score.
I just not have gotten a loan out for my child of $5,000 for them to for the birth of my child? 2 years ago.
Your money or your assets from you.
Okay, but shouldn't I'm sorry, this just seems to break capitalism, doesn't like I should have to pay for like a service that they're providing, no?
Okay, plenty of people don't pay for their credit cards.
Yeah, but then they Yeah, but then they get like a worse credit score for like 7 years. I can't do anything with that. I want a
Yeah,
credit
okay.
score.
Okay.
And I also feel like
That's part of
I should pay
capitalism.
my fair share in society, no? Like
Well, I mean, you don't have to. That's the way of capitalism works. Some people don't pay anything, some people pay everything. Even with the universal health care, that's exactly how it would work. Some people wouldn't pay their way. People that are making, $25,000 a year basically get all their money back at the end of the year and their taxes, other than Social Security and Medicare. And people that
wouldn't you
make
say
under $15,000 a year don't pay any taxes at all.
wouldn't you say that it would be better if people like if that service was actually paid? Because if it wasn't, then they would just like keep on upcharging in order to get the costs to like just run normally. Like I don't understand why that like what our system right now is preferable.
Well, that's how
This just
same argument
sounds
for
like an acceptance
everything.
of
Well,
people just
groceries would
feeling
be cheap. You could make the same argument for everything, though. You could say, well, groceries would be cheaper if people would stop racking up these credit card bills and actually pay for their groceries with cash. Or you can make the same argument and say, well, groceries would be cheaper if people weren't getting food stamps and all these welfare babies were buying up all the food and everything and causing the prices to go up because they know they can get whatever price they want from the government with food stamps.
the grocery store is already getting the money from the credit card like company, whoever you use. Like so,
Oh,
which is fine. Um,
okay, but
it's
that's
just
allowing more spending into the market. And what happens when more people buys a product? The prices go up, right? Supply and demand.
I mean, yes, yeah.
Okay,
But
so same
in
argument
terms of
for
like
that.
healthcare though, that's not necessarily true because you can like similar to dentists, like if you get daily checkups, not daily, I'm sorry, like yearly or semi-annual checkups, then you're less likely to start having things where it's like, um, I don't know, I have a lump and don't check for it for like 6 months, but now it really hurts. Now I go in and I have like some sort of cancer like that. I'm sure that happens more often than it should at the very least. And that it probably would be cheaper if like people just went to the doctors more regularly. No?
And I could say probably be cheaper if we cut off all these welfare programs and benefits and made everyone pay with cash.
Yeah, but you don't want people to get cancer to get like an extra stage of cancer because they didn't go because then they're just
They're
not
not gonna get
functional
cancer if they don't get
like
food stamps. They're
normal.
just gonna have to go work whatever job they can get.
Sorry, you cut out. What were you saying?
I said they're not gonna get cancer if we take away their food stamps. They're just gonna have to go work whatever job they can.
Yeah, then they're just like less valuable to society because of that.
No, they're more
And I'd
valuable because they're
rather,
not sitting around collecting government money.
well, I would just rather that we make sure that every citizen has an adequate amount of, I don't know, quality of life so that they don't have these things
So
happen
now
to
you're
them, so that they are still valuable to society for like years and years to come,
So now you're agreeing with me.
despite
Now
what
you're
their like
saying it's
financial
better just
situation
to
might be.
cover. Okay, so then now you're agreeing with me. Then you're just saying it's better to cover the welfare programs, even if it hurts our economy. Like it's better to give people emergency Medicare than it would be not to give it to them, because that's gonna benefit society more.
Yeah, I'm saying that not doing that would hurt. I'm saying it like from an economical like standpoint too. Like I think just allowing these things to happen would just hurt our economy more, and as well as hurting like an individual person's like inalienable rights and freedoms. Yeah,
Say that last part again.
I think that keeping the
Better
system,
to get these
the healthcare
benefits.
system the way it is going to not only like degrade people's life and quality of life and liberty, and inalienable rights, but it is also going to cause our society as a whole to be like less economical, because of course I would rather people not um, like have better. I'm sorry, I'm trying to phrase this correctly
No, you're
right
good. If
now.
I can state my initial point, the point I
Yeah,
was
go for
making
it.
was that you can get any emergency health care you need. You might end up in debt, but it's better to end up in debt and be able to get whatever healthcare treatment you need than it would be to not receive it at all. And you kind of pointed that out when you were talking about the food stamp program, and you said, yeah, this is going to be more beneficial for society to people to have this, even if it does increase food prices, even if it does, have an effect on supply and demand. So then you would agree that everyone does have some kind of form of healthcare, and you can't say it, even if you make the argument and say it's a human right. Well, okay, they already have that human right. Universal healthcare wouldn't be giving them something that they already don't have, other than it would give them more options, it'd give them more financial benefits. But if they want more financial benefits, they can go ahead and work a job, or they have to give you health care and you can pay into it, you'll pay it your part, and there you go.
Yeah, I just don't think everybody has the economic freedom to do that. And I just don't think that we should rely on um like capitalism and the free market, because that doesn't necessarily um how do I call it?
But that's
Like
what
how it is,
healthcare at like
especially how it is
fifty
right now, it
dollars.
just
Go ahead.
doesn't it just doesn't organize itself in a way that is beneficial for everybody.
Well,
And I
yeah,
want
it's not
people
if
who
it was
have
easy.
their inalienable right
If
to
it was
life
easy, then
to
everyone would be
benefit from it.
rich. It's not supposed to be easy. You're supposed to provide a good or service that's valuable to other people, and that's how you get successful in capitalism. It's never going to be accessible for everybody, because other people don't have ideas, they're not creative, they don't know how to market, they don't know how to sell. I mean, of course it's not going to be beneficial for everyone. There's not a single system out there that is beneficial for everyone. Socialism is not beneficial for everyone, because that means you're not allowed to have any private businesses. You're not allowed to have your private property or anything like that. The only thing you're allowed to have is a freaking toothbrush and some toothpaste. And that's pretty much it. So what system is beneficial for everyone? Capitalism is the system that's most beneficial for everybody, because anyone can participate in it, but not everybody's good at it. But even if you're not good at it, capitalism allows you to move up the corporate ladder and work as an employee rather than a pure capitalist.
I disagree. Okay, I agree that capitalism is good. I disagree for the reasons that you're pointing out, though. I think capitalism is good, is because it creates competition, and that competition drives innovation and technological advancement. But the moment that you get rid of that competition, everything that is good about capitalism just falls apart on its face. That's why we have like laws against monopolies and whatnot.
I
But
agree with that much. I agree with that much, and I think the government is monopolizing healthcare because they're basically not allowing more companies to come into the market. They're making it very, very, very difficult to come into the market, and even if you do come into the market, how are you going to compete with insurance companies getting money from the federal government? They're the ones monopolizing it. When it was under Barack Obama, it was more free market. There was more competition in the market. That's why prices were the way they were, $150 to $180 a month. Now he's giving more power to the government and more power to the large corporations by trying to. It's not even nationalized. He's just trying to semi-nationalize it in a way.
I just don't know if I agree with that framing because there's been other countries that have put in more at least regulations on the healthcare system, and that seems to have been successful for that part because they're just able to say, "Hey, these specific prices on drugs cannot go like higher."
Yeah, but that's not what we did. I agree
Yeah,
with some of
true.
that, but that's not what we did.
Well, we did with at
That's not
least
what
insulin. Now we have that with insulin. That didn't used to be the case.
that was a long time ago. I mean, that was a long time of not having that at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree we should go after the pharmaceutical companies for overcharging rather than trying to go after the American people's wallet. We should go after the because when you say you want universal health care, you're going after the American people's wallet. You're not punishing the corporations as much. You're not punishing the private business as much. If you really want to punish the private businesses, then you got to put more restrictions and you got to go after the drug manufacturers for screwing us over for the drug prices.
Well, I mean, maybe. I don't know because I feel like it would also be easier to. I mean, I guess the government could just like straight up do what the other European countries. I mean, other European countries are also doing universal healthcare too. Like maybe there's like some specific policies of just capping prices that would just be better. I don't know if that alone is going to um
Other countries force lower prices. So they turn to the United States basically to pay for it. We're paying for all the research and development. Meanwhile, these other countries are just paying a little markup on the groceries. I mean, not the groceries. Sorry, someone in the comment section said something about groceries. Uh, no, they're paying a little bit markup on their drug prices. While we're paying for all the research and development. Do you agree with that or no?
yeah, I agree with it. Um I guess just the main point of disagreement is if just the amount of money that you I don't know. I don't want to like circle back around to that because I feel like we've already covered that too, though.
We can circle back around on it. Go for it. I'm not worried about it. Go for it.
Well, it's just because I don't know. I'm gonna bring up that we ought to have these things, and then you're just gonna say like it's not gonna be easy, and that it's
Well, I never
okay.
got my
Like some
question
people,
on how we would pay for this. I mean, I guess put
yeah,
in the
because
smallest amount of taxes that anyone gets at like if I start paying 40 or 50%, and you start paying 40 or 50%, then I guess we could pay for it. But
well,
I'm not going to
that's
pay 50%. So that means I'm probably going to go to prison. And a lot of other people are probably going to go to prison. And then you're not going to have anyone to pay for your free healthcare.
well. Hold on. This is why a progressive tax system is just factually, objectively the best because the only way that you ever start paying that much is in a regressive tax system for stuff like exorbitant sales tax would do that to you, maybe.
Okay,
Um,
even if there was enough billionaires and trillionaires and millionaires to tax, which I don't believe there is, just by the fact if we tax all the billionaires and trillionaires, we could only pay, not even tax them. If we took every dollar they had, we could only pay for universal health care for a year and 6 months. But let's pretend for argument's sake that there was enough money. Raising their taxes 10% isn't going to pay for everybody else. So we're probably going to have to raise their taxes to 60 or 70%. And then you're going to see billionaires start to flee our country and people are going to start to leave because they don't want to live in a society where if you work all your life for 30, 40 years and you make $1 million, you got to give 60% of it to the government. That's just ridiculous.
yeah, I just like I hear this argument all the time. I don't actually know like how much truth there is to that because I feel like I'm a
I have some
billionaire
truth
already.
to it. I have some sources I can provide you. Look at New
That
York
is
City. They
anecdotal.
lost. No, it's not anecdotal. New York Times published an article stating that New York City lost $11 billion in tax revenue. That was just for a one. That was just supposed to be a couple points on the tax system. That was literally supposed to be what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% maybe. A raise in property taxes, a raise in income taxes. That wasn't even from a 10 or 20% raise. That was just from a small raise, and they lost $11 billion in tax revenue. There's New York Times articles about it. There's multiple news sources that posted about this.
I guess they're moving to that one Florida island that all the millionaires or billionaires are going to, I guess. Yeah. Um,
Not to mention, California and New York both have declining populations.
they
So
hold
that's
on.
another piece of
I don't
evidence.
think they have declining populations though. I thought it was only declining like billionaire populations or something, not declining population. I thought the New York population was rising last I checked.
I'll Google New York City population. Let's see. They shrunk roughly by 12,000 residents last year in 2025.
Okay, I don't know why. All right, that's fine. What source was that?
Hold on. Hold on. Let me
Because I could have
find it.
swore I saw like rising population.
Okay, here we go. This is Fox 5 New York. The city lost residents. Realtor.com says the population fell 12,000. I mean, there's two sources for you there right now, right there. Realtor.com and Fox 5 New York. And I don't think Realtor is a right wing source. It's probably more central.
I don't know. I'll look into it. Maybe it's like my only guess is that they're only counting like how many people are leaving and not counting like actual population growth. But
No, this is counting people coming in and people leaving, and I also believe population growth. And also, California has a net decline of around 9,500 to 54,000, according to CaliMatters.com.
I mean, California's been everyone's been leaving that state for like a decade now. I'm not surprised.
Same thing with New York. Everyone's been leaving for the last 5 years. I'm not even going to say it's Mandami, but it's just because of poor policies.
Mm.
So we can already see that as a list. And if you look up the states where or the countries where most corporations, millionaires, and billionaires move to, the United States, the
It's Florida.
Dubai, yeah, every single. No, I'm just talking about countries. If we're looking at countries where millionaires and billionaires and people come to start businesses, they're always countries where there's a major tax incentive, either a progressive tax rate, or a lot of tax loopholes or something like that. They like to come to these kinds of countries where there's low taxes, basically. So I just don't think I don't think in the big 2026 raising everyone's taxes is really a feasible thing. I mean, me and you might get stuck somewhere and not be able to move away, but people with millions and billions of dollars, they can create a new life on their smartphone in like 1 hour. You can buy a house on your phone, you can buy a car on your phone, you can buy a plane ticket, of course, on your phone, and you can fly over there and have a whole brand new life already set up for you. It's not very difficult. It's like you're living in GTA 6 before it even comes out. And these billionaires
Yeah,
can set up new lives easily.
yeah. If you have exorbitant amounts of money, you're gonna just be maximally free. Yeah, I agree.
So I don't even see how it's even a conversation if we're gonna be talking about raising people. If I'm saying that I ain't gonna pay 50 or 60% in taxes, just imagine how a millionaire or a billionaire feels about it.
Yeah. Again, like this doesn't make sense for you or me because I'm sure we need more than probably what like 70-80% of our income for necessities. The moment that you start taxing us over that, then that is going to affect our quality of life um, very, very largely. But for the billionaires that need 1% or less than 1% of their income for their necessities, taxing them like 50%, yeah, they're not going to like it. They might move. Okay, that's good. I mean, I'm sorry, that's not good. That's a good argument, but I'm saying that that's not going to affect their quality of life in whatsoever if they only need 1% for their necessities. Um, I mean,
Yeah, but
yeah.
you're talking about people that already have built generational wealth. The reason they only need 1% of their income is because they have 10, 20, 30 million dollars saved in their bank account already.
I
But
mean, yeah.
if they were a business owner and they had a massive overhead and a massive staff, then they definitely need to be able to keep a majority of their money to continue to expand their business and to, you know, help their family and friends in some situations as well.
Yeah, I don't know how much universal health care would affects that because I'm sure they have to pay like any business owner would probably know you have to pay a lot of money in order to actually get your employees to have some health care to begin with. So,
Yeah, but that's only
um,
for businesses with more than I think 100 employees or more than 50 employees.
it
Not
probably
all
does get cheaper the
businesses
more. Yeah, yeah. I guess that's right.
No, not all businesses are mandated to have health insurance for their employees. It's only if you're a large business with, I think, more than 50 employees, then you're required to have health insurance. And that's another employees right under the threshold. If I'm a major corporate businessman and I see if I get 50 employees, I have to give everyone health insurance, then I'm going to make sure I never have 50 employees. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure I only have 49 employees or 48 employees.
And just not give your employees like decent health care.
No, because that's going to cost me millions of dollars, and I feel like it's up to the individual. I'm already paying these people $90,000 a year. Maybe I'm paying them $200,000 a year. Who knows?
I
But
mean, if I was a business owner, I would want to make sure that my employees have adequate health care because my business depends on them.
yeah, but you're not.
But I guess you're kind of just proving my point. I think you're just kind of proving my point in that like capitalism doesn't organize itself in a way that's going to like give the best quality of life for the people that are participating in the system. That's why we need that to be, I guess, like socialized in a way. But that's like the only market I think that's the case, by the way. I just want to make
No, I'm
clear.
just pointing out the fact that putting these kinds of regulations is gonna make the employer even more. Everyone wants to maximize their profits. It's not capitalism's fault. It's, everyone else's fault for thinking that they deserve something for free. They should pay their own way. The employer is giving you an opportunity. If you don't like the opportunity or the benefits, then you don't have to go for the company. And if whatever he's offering isn't good enough to fit your needs, then that employer wouldn't be able to even hire anybody because it's very competitive to find good employees. It's not easy.
I think maximizing profits is fine to do as a business. I just don't think that you should be doing it at the expense of the quality of life of either the community, really, but of both
How is
the
it the
employees
expense
and
of the
company.
quality of life of the community? Is it up to the employer to just, give you a bunch of free shit? Is it the business owner's responsibility to give people a bunch of free stuff, or is it the individual responsibility to take care of himself and his family?
Well, I think at one time it was the employer. Like we did have these things. Oh, what were they called again? Um, like back in the 50s, if you stayed with a specific company for so long and then you retired, that company would give you
Pension?
money. Yeah, like
Yeah,
employers used to give like
some
pension to
companies
their
still have
employees.
that, but Social Security kind of replaced that in a manner. That's a whole nother debate topic, though. That's a whole
Yeah,
because I don't know
I
too
wouldn't
much
be able to
about
speak
that to
on it.
even debate about that, but some
Yeah.
companies still have pensions, I'm pretty sure. And that was back
Well,
in the 1950s, by the way. It's 2026.
yeah, well, just not. I doubt that's the common thing to see. I mean, I know I've been with my company for like 6 years, and I haven't heard anything about pensions yet. So I don't
Yeah,
know. Maybe I'll just wait longer.
pensions are for very, very high ranking employees normally in the United States, or they're for like government jobs and that sort of thing. Also, the
Yeah,
military gives a pension.
yeah, that's good for like the veterans. I'm all for that. I just think that um, I don't know. Like I agree that veterans like deserve that because they fought for their lives. I just also think that generally as Americans we should also be like
Cops get it,
afforded this
firefighters
allowance
get
as
it.
well. But
Cops and firefighters also get pensions.
based honestly, yeah. The government seems to love to do
But
that.
pensions aren't
Just
good
not like
enough nowadays. It doesn't matter what country you live in. Pensions are not really good enough to take care of you. Neither is Social Security. So, that's obviously not going to solve that issue. Regardless, you're not like a pension isn't going to really. It might allow you to retire, but it's not going to genuinely increase your quality of living. You're just going to be able to have the same quality of living throughout your retirement. That's pretty much.
yeah. All I want is an elevated baseline quality of living. I think that generally in society, whenever you have really high income inequality and you have low quality of life, then that's going to cause a lot of instability. And I want the US and America to be stable. And if I was a socialist, my argument would be, well, we need to get rid of income inequality. That's not. I don't think that. I think if you're a billionaire, that's fine to be a billionaire. I just want to raise and elevate everyone's quality of life, and I think that should be sufficient.
Well, I think we have a lot greater. We have less income disparity than Europe because look at a billionaire compared to someone living in, Spain. What the average salary is $2,500 a month, something like that. And a billionaire is, and versus America, where the average salary is like $5,000 a month versus a billionaire. So, I mean, I would argue that we have less income inequality than other countries do. I think we have one of the smallest income inequalities in the world, other than like Switzerland maybe and some other countries. But everything in Switzerland's extremely expensive as well. So
I don't know if that's true. Like we have the first trillionaire in the world, so like I don't know like how true that statement is. I'd love to look it up though. Most of these things are just general stuff that I've just like presupposed, I guess. But it's fine. I love to be educated. Yeah.
Someone asked, do you think we should have free college education?
I think we should provide free college education for specific fields of study that we need as a society. So, like medical, like people who are trying to be doctors, I would love for them to not have to pay like tens of thousands to probably some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars in tuition just to go to the field that they want. I think that would allow people, a lot more people, to become doctors, and who knows, maybe that would be able to, in supply and demand, lower the general cost um, of like medical care and healthcare and stuff.
And someone else makes a great point in the comment section. They said, hold on, let me scroll up. Let me scroll up. They said, shit, no, I forgot because people are spamming. Oh, yeah, Trillionaire has been around for a minute. I honestly do believe, you look at the Saudis and the Emiratis. I think their family, I mean, their family net worth is is in the multi trillions. It's like $20 trillion or something. But I will, for the sake of argument, just say that Elon is the first trillionaire. But I would also say that, Vladimir Putin, the Emiratis, we have many, many, many people that have access to much more wealth than Elon Musk does.
Okay. Um, that's fair. I guess I just have to look it up. Maybe it's like first trillionaire as terms of like US
On the
dollars and
Forbes
not.
list,
Yeah.
the US markets usually high prices, therefore increase the company's total global profitability, allowing the company to tolerate lower prices elsewhere. Yeah. That's the main reason why our healthcare system is so expensive. And
Mm,
also the drugs are so expensive. That's literally why other countries can have affordable healthcare. Yeah, I agree with that comment. I mean, if you look at our cost for healthcare, it's even a lot higher. So even if we did give everyone universal healthcare, it's kind of ridiculous that it costs $15,000 per person, and that's still not going to solve that issue as far as the cost is, and that's just more unneeded government cost and government spending. Because even when we give people Medicare, the average price that it costs us for Medicare is $15,000 a year. And that's just an average price. Other countries are not paying $15,000 a head for healthcare. That's another whole thing. What do you think about it?
I guess like my only question is why is America the one fitting the bill?
Because no one's had the balls to step in and start questioning them. I mean, we do have some drug prices that have gone down under Trump, but it takes a lot of back and forth with a lot of different companies. If it was just one company, that would be easy to do. But the fact that it's like hundreds of companies with sub companies that own companies. So that
Yeah.
also makes it extremely difficult. And these European countries have made it off from the start that they're not going to be paying because they never had the economic ability to even pay more than what they're paying now. That's another part of it. But we were the richest country in the world. We have the highest GDP in the world, so we were able to fit the bill.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just like this whole, how do I explain this? Like, yeah, I'm a Democrat and I just don't. Republicans and MAGA have this populist ideology, and whenever I say this, um, I mean that they like think that the government is like all corrupt, and I just don't like it can like I think two things can be true at once. at least whenever we're looking at healthcare, I think it's just blatantly obvious the people that are benefiting from it the most are going to be like health insurance companies and whatnot. Um,
Yeah, but once again, that's due
but
to the government.
yeah, exactly. Yes, and there's going to be like lobbying where maybe our representatives aren't representing the people as they should, but instead are representing um, their own self interests. Let's put it that way. But I just don't think that I don't think that like Republicans have really been doing anything about it. That's at least in like the healthcare field.
I mean, Trump has lowered drug prices more than any other president in the last 20 or 30 years. I'm not going to say it's perfect. He still has a lot of work to go and do, but we're only about 37% through with his term so far. So maybe we can get some more action with healthcare. But as far as the government goes, yeah, we do have this populist ideology where the government, is basically sticking its nose and it's the reason we have all these shitty programs. I mean, anything that's ever been ran by the government has been less effective than private enterprise. You can literally point at anything. You can point at the United States Postal Service. You can point at other countries' healthcare, where everyone's, in the UK and all these other countries, the people with a little bit of money, they don't even have to be wealthy. It would just be someone that's middle class or buying private health insurance because the lines, the waiting, it's way, way too long. The government is incapable of running a business properly. And at the end of the day, you can say it's not for profit, whatever it is, but to keep going, it has to have money coming in and money coming out. I mean, that's the only way you can keep something like healthcare alive. And that's kind of a business. And if the government mismanages money in every which step, then how can they be expected to do something like this without mismanaging their money again?
I just, I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying. My question is like more generally like what should be the long-term answer as far as like the stability of the democracy more than anything. Because what
Well,
like if we can't like if all of the representatives that we the people elect just have to like get this moral decision of do I make decisions based off of my self-interest based off of the lobbyists that are going to like fund me and possibly fund my like campaign for like the next term.
but I would
um
everyone's making stuff. You want universal health care because of your self interests. Everyone just cares about their self interests. No one cares until it affects them for the most part, or one of their family, or one of their friends.
yeah. um I mean, I guess that's fair to an extent. I just don't I just think that representatives should just represent the people and not represent the people that have more money, I guess. I don't
So
know.
basically, you're just saying that you want to get rid of Citizens United.
I don't know if I'm saying that.
Because that's what I'm
Um,
saying. You want to get rid of the big lobbying. You want to get rid of the big PACs, the super PACs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, I don't know because I'm sure that there are probably packs that do actually have the people's like interests in mind.
Could you name one?
Um, I can't name what the only pack that I know is APAC, and I know that a lot of people
That's the
online
only
shit on it.
PAC you know.
Yeah, I don't know any other pack. Just because I don't look up like what packs do what. I just
Fair
vote my
enough.
guy.
Fair
Like I
enough.
don't. Yeah,
The answer is I don't really think there are. That's a whole nother debate. But
for
oh, he
sure.
said 8 pack. No, he said 8 pack, not 8 pack. But that would be pretty funny if he said 6 pack is the only pack he knows, or 8 pack is the only pack he knows. That would have been pretty funny. uh, Google Yale Medicare for All study. Yeah, what does it say? How much is it going to cost us? How much is it going to cost us? I doubt it's much different than the congressional budget study. Let's see. We already talked about a study. I don't know about the Yale study. All I look for is prices. How much is it going to cost us? Instead of spamming that over and over again, let us know how much it's going to cost. All right, brother, you're just spamming. If you spam again, I'm going to have to time you out. I really am not a big fan of paying for other people's stuff. I think everyone should pay their own way, and I think our government has already way overreached as far as us paying for everyone else's stuff. I mean, what makes Americans feel like they're entitled to free stuff? I have no idea. Especially when we have some of the highest salaries in the world, especially after taxes. After taxes, we're like in top five. I like this comment right here. I agree. I shouldn't have to pay for some women and her 8 kids to eat. She should be working. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Why did she
I
decide to
mean,
have 8 children if she can't feed them?
isn't that like antithetical to like the trad wife mentality though? Like, I don't.
No, having a trad wife is about taking care of her so she doesn't have to work. It's not about getting money from the government so she doesn't have to
Oh,
work.
I get it. I get it. The assumption was that the mother with 8 children doesn't have a husband to take. Okay, never mind.
Well, no, it's not the assumption. I mean, obviously, if she's on welfare or if she's getting government assistance, then it's quite obvious that her husband can't take care of her. I mean, that's just
Um,
self-explanatory. Maybe she has a
I mean, I
husband,
don't know
maybe she
about that
doesn't.
because there's a lot of um, like the more kids you have, the more eligible you are to get that type of care.
Well, then she would
Because it's like a sliding
when she doesn't
scale,
need
right?
it.
With how many kids you have.
Okay, well then that means she would be abusing. That means she would be abusing the system for government benefits. That's all. That's only strengthening my point. So you're saying either she's abusing the welfare system, taking money when she doesn't need it, or that she is just taking money when she refuses to work, or just wasn't prepared to have keeps popping out children for whatever reason.
I don't know why we're putting a ton of negative connotations here with a mother who has 8 children.
It's
I
not
I just
negative connotations. It's just the facts. Why doesn't she take care of her own 8 children? Why does she deserve something from the government? Why did she decide to have 8 children if she can't take care of them? Was it because she knew she could get a giant paycheck for each one of those children?
I mean, why does anyone have 8 children? I guess maybe she just wanted 8 children. Like, I don't know.
Well, then why can't she take care of 8 children? Why does she expect the government to do it?
I don't know if like I still don't know why the assumption is that she just doesn't have a husband. Like,
I never
I
said
don't
anything
know.
about a husband. I said, why doesn't she take care of her children? Or why doesn't her husband take care of the children? Why does she think the government should be taking care of her child? That's my question.
Oh, the government's taking. I mean, if the government were truly doing that, then wouldn't the kids just be in foster care? Like, I don't.
Well, the government's putting the food on the that's the main thing when it comes to cost for children. I mean, sure you got diapers and whatnot, but the expensive part, up until they're in their teenage years, is feeding another mouth. Is it not?
No,
That's
the
the
expensive part is childcare. That's way more expensive, bro.
well, yeah. That's is that. Well, if this woman has 8 children, I'm assuming she has a strong family network. So childcare is another thing, but As far as her, the government doesn't even pay for childcare either, so that's out of the question altogether. I'm just saying, out of the stuff that the government can pay, the main thing, you can get someone to take care of your children for free, but what you can't get for free is food. So that means the government would be taking care of their children.
Can
If
you
the
get
government,
people
huh?
to take care of your child for free? Like, I feel like if that were actually the case, then we'd have a lot more children running around.
I mean, yeah,
Just
you
saying.
can if you have a strong family network and a strong friend network of trustworthy women and family members. Yeah, you can.
I guess, yeah. I don't
That's
know.
logical decisions, I guess. I mean, if you can't afford to feed them and you can't afford to get them with child care and you're living off the government will be taking care of them at the end of the day. Either you're taking care of them, or I'll say this: the government and the mother are taking care of them. Does that make you feel better?
um doesn't really make me feel anything, honestly.
I don't know what to say. I'm just still trying to figure out why these women with 8 children feel like the government should be taking care of them. I mean, especially if you're getting what's the child tax credit now? What is it? 3,000 a year? Or is it about 2,700, something like that? So
That
you're
was like
getting
2,500.
okay, 2,500. You're getting 2,500 per child. That means if you have 8 children, what are you getting back? 20 grand a year? Almost 20. You're getting back 20 grand a year. So the government is giving you $20,000 a year for your 8 children. It is also paying for all your children to eat. I mean, right there you go. The government is taking care of the children. It ain't even the mother at that point. It's straight up just the government. No thoughts? I'm still trying to figure
Mm,
out why she thinks the government should be taking care of her.
um yeah, I guess, yeah, no thoughts other
She
than
probably
just
wants universal health care too for all 8 of her children.
that is what universal means, yeah. Yeah.
No, no, I'm
Um
probably saying she probably wants it too.
I I other than the arguments I've been saying before, just, the government should protect the inalienable right to life. Yeah.
To try to save a life, they have the emergency Medicare care system already. They can't be turned down at the hospital. Oh, okay, here we go. Women on welfare do get free child health care under Medicare and Medicaid. Yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot about that. So not only do they get $20,000 from a year from the government, and who knows, 2,000 they get $20,000 a month from the or a year from the government. They probably get about $1,500 a month in food stamps, and they get free health care. So the government is literally taking care of everything. Literally everything. Even housing. They even get free housing.
I mean, I don't know how true that is. My wife definitely doesn't have free healthcare, and my child definitely doesn't have free healthcare. We definitely don't
Subsidized,
have.
not free. Correction.
Okay,
Subsidized,
subsidized.
not free.
I mean, my wife is. I mean, she's getting healthcare from her father, but that isn't going to be the case with, like, not everyone has a father, but yeah. Um,
Listen,
I
for
guess like
everyone
the
bad
spouse.
mouthing the Jews, I really don't care if it's a Jewish person, if it's a black person, if it's a white person, if it's a brown person. None of that matters to me at the end of the day. All I'm trying to say is the welfare system in America is highly taken advantage of. And if we want to help out more people, we gotta cut off some of these welfare babies and give it to the sick and disabled and the homeless veterans that really need it. Thoughts on that?
I think that we should just give healthcare to everyone. That's still like I agree, like veterans deserve it. I just think and you could say that they deserve it more, and that's fine, but I just think that Americans, generally speaking, also um
But do you think there's people abusing the welfare system that don't deserve welfare? I'm not talking about universal health care. Let's keep healthcare out of the equation. Do you think there's people
gotcha.
abusing the welfare situation that don't deserve it? That
Um yeah, that's probably true, and I think that it's a perfectly fine argument to say that we need to change the welfare system so that it doesn't like start it needs to be uh again like a sliding scale of okay, if you start earning this month, then we're gonna start like getting taking this much back. And if you make that too much of a drop, then the person's just never going to go anywhere because they'd rather just why do more to um whenever you're perfectly fine with the status quo, I guess. Yeah. Um but yeah, I agree. We probably do need to change the welfare system so that's not as abusable in that manner.
do
Yeah.
you agree with what Trump did to the SNAP program?
Reducing funding for that? No, not really.
Well, yeah,
I
no.
think it's
Go ahead.
of utmost importance that people get food.
Yeah, but
That
after
is
he
really gonna
changed
do
the
it.
rules for it. That's why the funding got reduced because he changed the rules for it. After 3 months of being on SNAP, if you're not working 20 hours a week, you're not in a job training program, or you're not at some kind of vocational school or volunteer work, if you're not working at least 20 hours a week, after 3 months of receiving food stamps, unless you're medically disabled, we cut your food stamps off. That's why there was such a massive amount of cuts in food stamps because you have to meet those requirements. You can get food stamps for 3 months. No jobs required, no applications required, none of that stuff. But after 3 months, you either have to volunteer for 20 hours a week, you have to work for 20 hours a week, or you have to be in some kind of job training or a job center like Work Corp, Job Corp, or whatever it's called. Otherwise, you're toast. You cannot receive it anymore. What are your thoughts
Is
on that? That's why it got
is it
cut because he stopped a lot of the fraud and the welfare abuse.
I guess my only question is that the only answer that he changed because after those cuts happened, at least in my like For You page and stuff, I saw people saying that they used to for years like get this much money and then like after the cuts and whatnot they get like instead of maybe like $200 a week they get like $69 a week or something like that.
Yeah,
um
I've read about this. If there's some kind of source or article you can give for me, other than saying that you saw it on TikTok, I know you're outside, so when you get inside later on, if you can send me some kind of thing, because I've never seen any proof of evidence of this. I've read
sure.
article after article about what the Medicare changes, or not the Medicare, the SNAP program changes were, and those are the
Okay.
only things that I noticed. That you have to be that you have to be working 20 hours a week, or you have to be trying to get a job, or you have to be going towards some kind of job training or some kind of situation like that. But let me respond
Okay.
to a couple of these messages real quick.
Sure.
Jews abuse the welfare system all the time. Okay, yeah, here we go with the crying about the Jews. I'm sorry. Majority of the Jews are not on welfare. Majority of the Jews are probably doing better than you. That's why, when Jews come on my channel or they're watching me, they drop more than a $2 super chat. But thank you anyway. Um, but the majority of people that abuse welfare, statistically speaking, per capita, is black women, but there are more white people on it than anyone else. But per capita, black women are the highest abusers and users of the welfare system. Here we go. Will you talk about the Jersey welfare Jews? First off, that wasn't in Jersey, brother. Can't even remember the video you watched. That was in New York, and I already said if you're abusing the welfare system, that's wrong. But the fact that we just talked about the changes in the SNAP program, that's going to stop a lot of abuse. I already answered that. Anti-Semitics blame the Jews to their own failures. Yup. Yep. Okay, here we go. Families who here's another thing. Here's another super chat. Families who qualify for cash welfare programs such as Cali Works in California automatically qualify for free or low cost public health insurance like Medi-Cali or Medicaid for their own children. All right, that answers that. So a lot of them are already getting it out there. And let's see. No American cannot afford tax-based health insurance. We spent over $5.3 trillion in 2025. Uh, I work an extra year. Universal saves $1 trillion. Still cost every taxable person $14,900 a year. I don't know what SD means. I think you messed up on your spelling there. I don't know if you're trying to say it saves money but still raises our taxes. I'm not really sure. Uh, Universal saves 1 trillion. It saves us money. Is that what the super chat's supposed to say? I would like to see a study on that because I have not seen a study on that. But you have any thoughts on about any of those?
Um, Not at the moment. Like, the only reason, like, if you could say that we can have affordable healthcare and then like an option for people who can't afford it, like I guess I could see that maybe working. I think I'd probably be fine with that. I mean, honestly, like any direction towards what we aren't in right now, as far as like making this stuff cheaper, I'm obviously all for. I think you agree with that.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree with that.
I just I just don't think that how much money you are worth should be associated with how much like quality of care you receive. I think that we should just have a baseline, just across the board, have an equal amount of care that's like adequate and obviously not like waiting in tons of lines and whatnot. Um,
Well, I don't know a single country today where you don't have to wait in a line with universal health care.
well, I guess I just have an absorbent amount of patriotism and just say we're Americans and we're built different. I don't know.
We have more of a higher population, which would probably create longer wait lines. I mean, we don't have universal health care now, and we have wait
Yeah, it's true.
lines. We have private health care now, and we don't have wait lines. So
Yeah.
I mean, we have long wait lines. Like it can take months to get a doctor's visit right now with private health care. You have to wait hours sometimes in a hospital right now. So imagine if we did universal health care and our lines got even worse, man, that would just be ridiculous. I
Yeah,
mean,
I could
some people already
see
wait like 3 hours in hospital line.
I could see an argument saying maybe we need to do like what I was saying before with making it so that's a lot easier to become a doctor if you want to be. I could see an argument saying maybe we just need to do that first, wait 10 years, try to make healthcare more affordable in the meantime. And then if we're able to make a healthcare like so affordable, then we start trying to look at the universal option. I'd be for that too. Um, I mean, like with any sort of market, of course, any like immediate shock is going to just be catastrophic. So yeah. I just wanna say, like, if there's a will and there's a will, there's a way. I'm just trying to make the argument that we ought to do it, not that we need to do it right absolutely now in the market that we're in. Yeah.
Whoever said that, I agree. I agree, but I don't want to go to universal health care. I'm more willing to fix the system and make it more accessible, and even give more people health care that need it, because if we lowered the price of the healthcare instead of Medicare costing people $15,000 a year, if we could make that cost $7,000 a year, that means we can give more poor people, health insurance. Even if I don't believe in universal healthcare, that means we'd be able to give more people if we could lower the cost for the government for the healthcare. But to the person in the comment section that said, a lot of those welfare babies' parents are sick or they're disabled. I already pointed out the fact that I got nothing against those people getting those benefits if they're sick or or needy. I'm 100% reasonable. I understand that, but I'm sorry. We have 40 million Americans on food stamps, and there's not 40 million sick disabled Americans, not that I know of. At least I could be wrong, but I don't think the majority of them are sick or on disability. I think the majority of them might have lost their jobs and they're on a hardship. That's perfectly fine. If you need food stamps for a couple months, I got nothing against it. But when it gets to the point where we're like, 2, 3, 4, 5 years passes by, I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. After 5 years of passing by and you're still on these government assistance programs. But that's just my opinion. Okay, here we go. Yes, but there's about 15 trillion. What are you guys arguing about? Yeah, welfare isn't a career. That's what I'm trying to point out. Welfare is not a career. I do agree with maternity leave. I do agree that instead of giving universal health care, we should just lower the healthcare costs. And then instead of using that money for universal health care, we should be giving maternity leave. I agree with that 100%. I mean, in countries like Russia, people are going to say, "Oh, you're talking about Russia." In countries like Russia, you get like years of maternity leave, but that's paid by the company, and they also give you money to give birth, which I think we should give more incentives to parents. I think if you're a parent, you should not you should have a tax exemption. If you're making under $150,000 a year and you're a parent, you should have a tax exemption. Poland does that. If you're making under 90,000 euros a year and you have, I think, 2 or 3 kids, you don't pay taxes at all.
I mean, I agree. I guess I'm just confused why you're advocating for more like safety nets, but then you're also turning around and then don't want people. I mean, you're saying like they're abusing the safety
Yeah,
nets, but I
maternity leave is actually understandable. That's 100% understandable. That's going to incentivize more births. But giving universal health care is not going to incentivize really much of anything.
okay.
There's no incentive other than it's just going to raise everyone's taxes.
But you were also complaining about the mother with 8 children like 10 minutes ago, though.
Yeah, no,
So,
the mother with 8 children should take care of her children. Maternity leave doesn't mean leave work and never come back and receive money from the government forever. That
okay.
means we'll give you 2 or 3 months and it should be paid by the company. It should be paid for by the company. The maternity leave should be paid for by the company, and that company should get a tax deduction.
I mean, maybe it could
That's an
work that
easy way to
in that
do it. Give them 3 months worth of salary. Give them 3 to 6 months worth of salary, and then give that company a $50,000 tax deduction per parent. I mean, per mother. That's an easy way to do it. That would be a great incentive right there, and it's an easy, simple fix that's not going to raise our taxes, and it's going to incentivize the business, and it's going to incentivize the birth of more children in America.
I mean, it's not gonna raise our taxes, but it is gonna raise like the deficit, I guess. I don't know. Like I I feel like on one end saying like we should pay more sucks, but on the other end,
I don't. I
I
don't
feel like
think it's the. I don't think it's the taxpayers' fault for the deficit. I think it's first off military, social
definitely bullshit.
security, and then those social programs.
I mean, yeah, for sure. That's just the
If
spending
a
that we're
company can pay taxes, if the company doesn't get a tax write-off for maternal leave, then they're still going to get a tax write-off somewhere else. So if they don't get it from giving women maternal leave, they're going to figure out some other way to get that tax write-off anyway. That's how these companies are. I mean, I think you would agree. So if we just gave them this tax write-off, and it would be good, it'd be beneficial, I think. And companies wouldn't be mandated to do it. It would only be up to the companies that wanted to do it. Only companies that want to do it, but it'd be highly incentivized. Because if you want universal health care, then you should also be advocating for something like maternal leave. There's so much stuff that we can do that would be a lot more beneficial before we gave universal health care. Like I said, we could give maternal leave. We could even make it free to give birth. I would even be up for that before we did something like universal health care.
So, in the same type of framing, would you, instead of getting having minimum wage, would you give companies tax write-offs the more that they pay their like employees?
Yeah, sure, they can get more tax write-offs the more they pay their employees. Which that would stimulate the economy too, because if we raise salaries, people are going to spend more money, and
Yeah, true.
that's also gonna be taxed. That money's going to be taxed again, no matter what. The money's going to get taxed no matter what. So actually, I actually like that idea a lot. If you pay your employees more, I'm pretty sure they already have something similar to that. If I'm not wrong, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure there already is some stuff like that written into the tax law. But for the sake of the argument, I will say that they should give bigger tax deductions for people that give their employees bigger salaries. Like if you get a raise, if they're frequently giving employees raises, they should get tax deductions. Because then those people are going to get a salary. That salary is going to get taxed, and then when they spend that money is going to get taxed. So the government isn't going to lose out on any tax money. In fact, they're probably going to get more tax money because corporations pay a smaller percentage of tax than people that are employed. If you own a company, you pay less taxes than an employee. So that money is going to get taxed even more. The people are going to have more money for their family, and we're going to get more in sales tax on the local level as well. So I do think that's a good idea right there. But then people are going to complain that the $1 billion and the $1 trillion companies are making so much money, and that's going to cause stock valuations to probably skyrocket because now they're paying way less in taxes, and a lot of people will probably complain. But I would argue that the worker, that would be more beneficial for the worker.
Um, I don't know, maybe. I mean, you're being consistent, which I appreciate. I just don't know how much benefit that would actually bring. Like if it were to be applied. I'd love to do more research on that though. Again, I'm just out here only on the phone. If I look it up right now, it just shuts down. So
Yeah, no, I do agree. I do think that as far as McDonald's employees go, I personally don't believe they should be getting any more money. Whatever the market rate is, wherever they're at, that's where they're at. No one's forcing them to work at McDonald's. McDonald's, I've done extensive research into this. McDonald's profit margins, believe it or not, are very, very slim. I mean, they're at the point where if they pay their employees more money, first off, a McDonald's costs $6 million to build, on average between $4 to $6 million. So you invest all that money, you hire your employees, and now someone's going to tell you got to give them a livable wage, which means that might have to increase their salary by double or triple. And the profit margins on McDonald's ranges from I don't know 8 to 15%, which basically you can already get similar returns if you just invest your money into the stock market. So how are we going to keep it? How are we going to keep it incentivizing these kinds of companies. And most McDonald's are not. Most McDonald's are owned by people that corporatize it, like individual business owners. They're not owned by a corporate entity. They buy the rights to
Yeah,
the McDonald's.
that was gonna be my question. Are the statistics you're talking about specifically for corporate or not corporate branches?
This is the majority of McDonald's are ran by individuals.
Yeah, I
McDonald's
agree.
is a franchise. These are by franchise owners.
Okay, gotcha. Um,
Because franchise owners are the ones that have to write the checks for the salaries, not the corporation itself. The franchise owners are going to be the ones that would have to write these salaries to people, not the corporations. And if the franchise owners are already making a slim profit margin after paying the corporation all this money for land rights, copyright rights, and all these things, then it's uh, not right. Well, someone said the McDonald's Corporation had a 32% profit margin, but I'm talking about the franchisee. The franchisee does not have a 32% profit margin. They have a profit margin that's slightly higher than what they would get if they just invested their money in the S&P 500. And not to mention they have to do a lot more work, but of course if they invest in a franchise rather than putting their money into the stock market, investing in a franchise comes with a lot more tax deductions.
I mean, personally speaking, um, I would rather like if they want to open up a like local restaurant, I'd rather it not be a McDonald's, and I would rather it be their own um
I agree. McDonald's
business.
is
I,
known
I
for
mean,
food it's not good for you. They don't really pay their employees top dollar. You could probably make a
yeah.
lot more money just working at a local restaurant. But then again, there's a reason why McDonald's is like in the top three largest food chains in the world in
I
terms of
mean,
just
it's
amount of storefronts.
yeah, it's because it's a very
Desirable place to eat.
no, I don't think so at all. In fact, I
I
think that they're
do. I
never
think
more
people really
desirable, you
like
get
it.
more money.
It's not desirable for me. I can't remember the last time I ate fast food, but it is very desirable for everyone. And once in a while, I do find myself having almost like a chemical addiction to wanting fast food, and that's for a reason because these it's like a drug. It's like wanting a hit of crack. It's like you do a drug once, you might stop doing it for years and years, but you're always having that thought in the back of your mind about that feeling of eating that McDonald's cheeseburger.
Personally, I think it's just because we're terrible at cooking, not gonna lie.
Well, I do agree with that too. Cooking takes a lot of time, and Americans are just more about money than they are about quality of living.
I mean, yeah, true. Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess I don't know, screw McDonald's. I hate McDonald's.
Yeah.
Freddy's is better,
What is better?
honestly. Freddy's
I never had Freddy's, but I heard you say that
or
before.
like
See,
Steak and Shake.
Steak and Shake, yeah, Steak and Shake is really good.
Yeah, based.
I like what they did with their new fries. They started using that type of oil. What was it called again? If anyone can
Steak
remind me.
tallow, something like
Yeah,
that.
tallow oil. Instead of using vegetable oil, they use tallow oil now. It's a lot healthier. He said Fridays. It's like Chili's. I hate Chili's. Chili's is trash.
I said Freddy's, not Fridays.
Yeah, Freddy's.
Joe Rogan oil. Okay.
Joe Rogan oil. Okay, yeah, I guess. No, they're being worked to the bone because of exploitive labor laws. That's why they prefer to eat out. What exploitative labor laws? Like, I mean, what exploitative labor laws? How many, what labor laws? You have to be specific. Who has the time to cook when they're working two jobs and can barely survive? I mean, you only need to sleep 8 hours a day. That means you have 16 hours to do whatever you need to do every single day. So, I mean, you have 16 hours of the day. I don't think I've never heard of someone, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's possible. Most people don't work 16 hours a day. The only people I know that work 16 hours a day are business owners. Well, I'm not saying it's not happening, but get those likes up, guys. Get those likes up. I use an air fryer. It cooks fast and well. I mean, yeah. A minute ago, you said McDonald's cares more about profit than the well-being of people, right? No, I said most corporations try to maximize their profits. I never said that verbatim word by word.
I mean, I made that argument earlier, and that sometimes profits don't are going to be made in what's it called? Um, Profits can be made at the expense of people's like quality of life. Yeah, and I think that's needs to be regulated in some way,
The
shape, or
only one
form.
that can make your quality of life is as good as you. You decided where you work at. If you don't like it, you can leave somewhere else and go somewhere else. You're the only one hurting your quality of life. If you're putting up with poor working conditions and poor salary, that's because you chose to. So you're harming your own quality of life.
I mean, yes and no. Like, you can always make this argument that it's just like the individuals need to make just better decisions. But I also see that we can make environments where maybe it's easier to make correct long-term decisions. And I think I would advocate that we should um, try to make those type of environments more prominent. Um, and I think that that would happen if we like just keep quality of life in mind, and try to like raise each other's instead of just trying to only worry about ourselves.
I mean, like I said, if you really believe in that, the only way that's ever going to happen is by giving these same corporations incentives. Everything needs incentives. Same thing with universal health care. You're going to need to incentivize that somehow, and I don't see it happening because even people that are making, $150,000 a year, even if you're going to say that it's just like the top earners, that's going to affect people that are making, not all that much money in certain states and certain situations after taxes and everything like that and cost of living.
Well,
So who
that's
are we
why I
to
like
decide if who's going to, pay for all of this?
small businesses a lot more than corporations, because the small businesses, their environment is only tied to that local community. So for I don't know, for example, there were like medical companies back in like the 50s, and honestly, they're probably more recently, I think, with like Monsanto and whatnot. But they had toxic waste, and all they did was just like um, send it straight to like what the nearest like water outlet, and that caused cancer for people. And if you're a corporation, you that type of like you might have to pay lawsuits, and I'm sure there has been in the past. But I don't want to have corporations to even have the option to give people cancer and treat it as like a just like a slap on the wrist fine or expense in order to continue its production of like making capital. If
Okay,
you're
so
a small
basically you're
business,
saying, well, sugar causes cancer. So basically you're saying no private company should be able to sell any products with sugar because eating a lot of sugar can cause cancer, and cancer
uh,
cells to grow.
no,
So
that is a straw man, because you do have complete control of yourself on how much sugar you intake.
I mean, what can you
But
eat that doesn't have sugar in it?
um, zero sugar Mountain Dew, any protein,
Okay,
any
so those zero sugar Mountain Dews also have aspartame in them, which also causes cancer.
that has diet. What you're talking about is diet soda. I don't think zero sugar Mountain Dew has aspartame. You can double check that later. But if I remember correctly, aspartame causes cancer to mice, and the specific dosage that you have to intake of aspartame in order to get cancer, if it were equivalent to mice, would be like something
Okay,
like
so you're saying that
72
Diet Coke doesn't
cans
give
of aspartame.
cancer, it's perfectly fine. You're saying it's not gonna cause any health issues, or it's not gonna cause possible
No,
cancer?
if you intake like 70 cans of Diet Coke, the aspartame could give you cancer, but you would also probably have a lot more issues because if you intake that amount of like, I don't know,
Okay,
liquid,
so it's
you're
possible, that's all
probably
that matters. So your argument, how is it a straw man? It's perfectly on your argument. Your argument was we shouldn't allow companies to sell something and profit off of us, something that sells cancer. So what
um
about all the food companies that are selling all these sugary products?
it's okay, maybe strawman was well, strawman I was saying strawman because it was a non sequitur and you were putting it up as my argument in order to knock it down. Um
It
the
is though, because your whole argument was companies should not be able to sell sugar, or not sugar.
no
Sorry, should not be able to sell products that cause cancer.
No, my whole argument is that if a company decided to try to sell you something and while it was doing that and its production would cause the nearby community to cause cancer, if it were a small business, that company would just go out of business because it gave its entire community cancer.
Well,
A
Coca-Cola started as a
corporation
small
can't.
business.
A
Plenty
corporation
of
is
food
able to do
companies
that.
most food companies started as a small business. Most companies in the
Yes,
world
true.
started as a small
Facts.
business.
And I love small businesses. Yes.
Okay, so your whole point is that they shouldn't be able to sell something to the community that causes cancer, and that their business would never make it that far. We can see plenty of real life examples of that not being true whatsoever.
My point is that businesses should serve the community, and there are times where businesses are going to not serve the community and be a detriment to the community. And in those instances, that only happens if they are a large corporation that is not tied to that community.
Well, like I said, the majority of corporations started as small businesses, and eventually it got into the corporate market.
Oh, hello. Sorry, there's a neighbor nearby.
No, you're good. You're good. So I don't even know really what more to comment on as far as the sugar thing or the companies not being allowed to sell certain products or stuff like that. I mean, what about
Well,
tobacco
you
companies? The
well,
majority of them started as small businesses. Should
I
tobacco
mean,
be
yeah,
outlawed?
I mean, you would agree that most monopolies probably started as small businesses too, right?
Yeah.
And you think that monopolies should be regulated and split up, right?
Yeah.
All right, so just because they started as something that was good doesn't necessarily mean that it's
Yeah,
going
but
to
there's
be.
no monopolies today. Not that have been found in court, at least. The monopoly laws haven't been used in a really, really long time. They've been trying to use them on Microsoft and all these other big companies for a long time, but they failed every single lawsuit and legal action against them.
Yeah, I think that's probably just because if you have a lot of money, then you're able to buy like the best lawyers generally, and the best lawyers are gonna be better than the second best lawyers, right? But as far as arguing in court goes,
I mean, who has the best lawyers in the world? The government.
I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Because the government has unlimited money. Corporations don't have unlimited money to spend.
Um, I don't I don't think that the government has unlimited money, but I think that's an entirely different conversation. But
Well, they have enough money to hire. Basically, I'll put it this way: if it's $1 billion company versus the government, who's going to run out of money first? The $1 billion company, because the government can
um, I
literally just print more money.
I don't think that there was ever going to be a lawsuit between the government and the a billionaire company that would like start eating out of their like ROI so much that they I just don't think that just because you have more. Okay. I don't think that the government has the best lawyers, first off. Or I mean, I'm sure they have like very adequate lawyers, but I think generally speaking, if we're talking about um, if you want to make the most money in law, I don't think it's you work for the government. I think it's you work in the private sector.
Well,
Um,
sure, the government hires people in the private sector, don't you think, to be their lawyers?
um, maybe specific representatives in government will hire people in the private sector, but it's my understanding that the government has their own department for like prosecutions and whatnot,
It says yes, the
and that
government.
department is
Good.
not
I did.
just entire private sector lawyers.
I did a
I mean,
Google search.
it should.
Yes, government entities frequently hire private lawyers and outside law firms to assist them. This practice occurs at the federal, state, and local levels. So they do hire
Okay, but are
people.
we talking about, like, specific representatives, or are we talking about, like, the DOJ, is getting outside, private sector lawyers to, like,
Well, they can
assist
if they
for
want
some
to.
reason?
It's not against the law, and they have before in the past.
Uh, I I guess give me examples.
I mean, sure, I can pull those up. The government alleges that the dominance allows Apple to inflate prices for consumers, squeeze developers with predatory 30% Apple Store fees, and stifle technical innovation. The DOJ defines Apple's market as performance smartphones, premium or luxury devices in the US, where Apple commands over 70% of market share. In the broader US smartphone market, it holds 60% plus. Oh, that's interesting. Well, is there anything else that we had to talk about here for another 5 or so minutes and then I'll hop out?
A lot of people earlier were talking about Israel, Palestine. What are your thoughts?
Oh, that's interesting. I think it's interesting that the UN recently had to come out and admit that Israel wasn't stealing food from Palestine, that it was the Hamas terrorists stealing food.
Maybe, okay. I think we're not gonna find a lot of disagreements. I'm not necessarily, like, hard pro Israel. I think that they probably do, um, they probably have their goal. Like, I just don't think that they will, how do I say it?
That those
I
so
think that they probably do kill a lot of people, but I don't think that their intent or goal is, like, genocide. But I do think that Hamas's goal is, like, an
genocide.
intent is likely akin to, like, some sort of, like, genocide. But I also don't like that Israel does a lot of. I don't know. It's the numbers are kind of insane, not gonna lie, but
That's
I just think it's a really screwed up
one of the
situation
most
personally.
concentrated populations in the Middle East, 70,000, when there's over like 2.5 million people in Gaza, which is like not a very big piece of land. I mean, Gaza is like the size of a small city, and there's 2 million people populated it, and only 70,000 people have passed away. Which at least 50,000 of those people have been terrorists.
I don't know where you're getting those numbers. I remember hearing something like I forget if it was like 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 people that were killed were like the like Israel targets. I
Yeah.
mean, to be fair, this is also just I'm sure that like the numbers are probably from either side are going to be skewed
All the
in
numbers come from
like any war.
Hamas, from the government of Hamas. So yeah, I mean they are okay. It says an estimate between 83 and 56% are civilians. So well, let's say 35,000 of them are terrorists. I think that's a fair amount, but we really don't know.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
it's a lot
think
of
that I
people for
don't think
sure.
it's a genocide either, especially knowing the history. I don't know if you like know all the history about all the conflicts and about 1948 and before that. I mean,
I just know that I think like the best option for both sides would have been some sort of um, what we have in America, which is liberalism and some sort of like religious freedom and like an acknowledgement that you can be, you know,
yeah.
Palestinian and I can be Israeli and we can just both live together and not blow each other up. But I think that path is long gone now,
Well, they
and
have
I
two
think we
million
just
Arabs that live inside of Israel, and some of them are Palestinian.
yeah, I know. I know there's like I thought the numbers was like 25% of
Yeah,
people in
25%
Israel were
are are
actually
are,
Israeli.
are Arabs.
Yeah. No, it's definitely like tied to some sort of ideological, like religious extremism belief. Um, and I think that the only way that um it has to be like some sort of like annihilation of that ideology and like I would love to say like you know Israel is should be like held morally responsible for like all of the people that have died, but I mean if I were to draw like the same parallel line with America, the only time that I can think of that we've had like this sort of like opponent of being like ideologically extreme, not backing down no matter what would be like World War II against Japan. And we had to drop two sons on two different cities in Japan in order for them to even surrender. So I can't like as an American, I just don't have the moral high ground to condemn Israel and what they're doing. So yeah.
And also, you can't avoid killing civilians when there's terrorists hiding behind them. And also, I believe a lot more children probably have died between Russia and Ukraine, but I don't really know for sure.
Yeah, Russia, Ukraine's that's just a complete bloodbath.
And no one's
I
saying anything about the children or the genocide or the poor Ukrainian and Russian children. No one cares.
Yeah, I mean, what are you like pro Ukraine or pro Russia, I guess?
I really don't care about either side. I just wish the war would end, and I also wish America would stop funding, conflicts like this.
Okay. I mean, I myself I'm pro Ukraine because I think that they should just be allowed to be a sovereign state and not have their shit invaded, but yeah, that's I also want the war to end. I can agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, if they want to be whatever they are, that they can be. But I don't mind it. I don't have a problem with it. But they've taken a lot of American money, and they got to pay us back eventually with their minerals, like they promised us. That's my main thing. So I mean, I get why we're protecting them now because we have like a multi-$100 billion investment into this whole situation at this point, and we want to get our money back. But I don't know if it's gonna happen or not. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But as far as children dying, yeah, that's unavoidable. I think in every single war America has ever been in, I think every single war in history, women and children have died.
Um, I mean, yeah, probably. But like, I think we're the only ones that. I mean, I can't say we're the only ones. I'm sure there's been others. I don't know. I just know that there's cases where we've blown up entire cities, and we just don't have any moral high ground. I guess as Americans.
Ryan asked me, he said, instead of funding conflicts, should we just directly engage in them? Well, I think if we're going to fund them with taxpayers' money, then yeah, we probably should directly engage with them. If we're willing to put money behind it, why not put soldiers behind it too, just to stamp it? Because it's easy to throw people's money around when no one's dying, but it's a little bit more difficult when you have boots on the ground in the war fighting it. So that would be my
I have a
thoughts on it.
question.
If we
Um,
go ahead.
do you think that we're in like World War III right now?
No, no, I don't know
No.
very close. No,
Okay.
World War III will
I
only
can.
come from direct conflict with either China or Russia.
I mean, we're in like a lot of semi-direct conflicts because like
Yeah, but they refuse to
we're
engage.
backing Ukraine and we're backing Israel and we're fighting Iran and
Yeah, but
Russia
once again,
and
they still
Iran
refuse to engage
allies
with us.
and Iran and Hamas are allies. So I don't know. It just seems that even though we're not fighting, we're all like individually fighting like the smaller guys that represent us.
Yeah, but Russia could have engaged with us a long, long time ago. They refuse to engage with us for a reason because I'm not gonna, say too much. A lot of people say paper tiger, but I don't think they stand a chance against America. And honestly, I don't think China stands a chance either, because I think they're lying about their size of their population. First off, there's been multiple studies on them. Basically, a lot of scientists and a lot of people out there believe China's lying about their population by a couple hundred million.
I mean, if we yeah, you better be right. I mean, we're the military that spends the most. Like uh
I
we
think we
we
could,
better be
if
winning.
anything, if World War III happens, it's probably going to be in 2027 if China tries to invade Taiwan. Now, if China tries to
Um,
invade Taiwan, then maybe I can agree with you, or maybe I can make the statement that this might be the start of World War III. Because supposedly they have these military plans to seize Taiwan in 2027. And we've been doing military exercises like intensively every single day of 2026 in Taiwan. So I don't know what's going to happen there, maybe. I don't think North Korea is a threat, though. Someone said North Korea is a threat. No, they'd get wiped off the map. And China doesn't own all our debt. Like I looked it up the other day because I was curious. It was like 8% of our debt was owned by China, or like 10% of our debt was owned by China. It was like a really, really small amount, maybe even less than that. But I'll have to look it up again. I'm not going to quote anyone any. Well, it looks like his phone's going in and out. Do we have any final super chat questions or comments, anyone? Anything else before we hop up out of here? It's a pretty small number. I think it's less than 8%. But honestly, we should just tell them to F off. We're not going to pay it back. But then you're going to ask me how? What about this? What about that? It's okay, Martian. I'll let you back in for a second, but then I'm going to hop off. All right, brother. I'm going to hop up out of here. I'm going to let you go. Peace
all right.
out.
See ya.
Have a good, and it was fun.